Martial. Herrera. Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli. Aguero!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. We're coming to you live on Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day to everybody who celebrates here in the States. People in Europe are going, we don't know what you're talking about, and that's just fine. Jordan, we've only got one match we're covering today. It is the UEFA Conference League Final between Real Betis and Chelsea. So just one game to cover for you guys. We got some official plays. We're going to have some fun breaking it down for you, especially after coming off of a terrible weekend where we gave out 10 official plays and lost a lot of money. But, Jord, how you doing on this Memorial Day holiday?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Dev. They call it something. They do something over in the UK right now, like bank holiday. Yeah, bank holiday weekend.
It's Liverpool Trophy Parade holiday.
Yeah,
maybe?
Yeah. Someone drove into the parade, crushed a bunch of people. Our thoughts and prayers with them.
Probably one of our listeners who lost on the weekend.
Yeah. Too soon, Dev.
Too soon.
They're still sorting out the bodies. Anyway, yeah, rough weekend. We had the idea that if we threw enough shit against the wall, some of it was bound to stick. It didn't work that way. Very little of it stuck. But look, what can you do? It's gambling. We did our best. It was a weird Premier League final day. But look, we have the opportunity to go again. And we've got a couple of finals left to cover, this Conference League one, and then we'll have another show towards the end of the week where we cover the big one, baby, the Champions League final. And Dev, for this Conference League final, we've decided to bring on our boss. Should we call him our boss?
He's not.
CEO?
He doesn't tell us what to do. He's not our boss. Come on.
He is our resident Chelsea fan, and many bosses and CEOs tend to represent Chelsea. It's kind of their thing. So we've brought him on to give us a little Chelsea perspective. This is CEO Gary Stryker of the Hooligan Soccer Network, arguably our boss. It's unclear. At least he has an English accent. He can tell us maybe what they call it in the UK on this bank holiday. It's not Memorial Day. What do you guys call it over there, Gary?
It's a bank holiday technically. Yeah, it is a bank holiday, but no, yeah, definitely not your boss, guys. Come on, absolutely not. No, collaborators, partners, friends, friends, media friends. That's how it is. Yeah. Is it inappropriate if I am I'm consuming some alcohol on this Memorial Day?
Not at all. In fact, in the chat right now, Bob D says, I'll put it on the screen here, where's your beer? It's a bank holiday in England. And Gary representing. So at least one of us brought a little barley pop.
Next round's on.
Yeah.
Super, guys. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, Gary. Yeah, we got this one final. I'll just start by asking you a couple questions here. Does anyone care? Do you guys, as Chelsea fans, does this matter at all?
I think we said. I think I remember last time I came on, right? And I believe Jordan, obviously, you were espousing about the that wonderful night when West Ham won this exact competition, and I did rather condescendingly say it was a Who Cares Cup, and it is. It does look. It's. I think from a Chelsea fan's perspective, it's wonderful because there's some trophy and some silverware at the end. There's no guarantee that they'll get it, but the expectation is they will. I think having won yesterday and qualifying for the Champions League as well, that's also a little bit of pressure off as well. So yeah, I think it will be good to have a piece of silverware, and then we go into the Club World Cup, which obviously will be all across and obviously covering as we know all the things that we're working on there, and see how deep they can get into that competition. So I have hope. But as they say, there's two kinds of hope: no hope and a fool's hope. So we'll find out which one.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, it probably would have been more important had Chelsea not qualified for Champions League yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But now that that's happened, is this kind of just cherry on top? It'd be nice to add a piece of silverware. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. And I think, this is something that the Hooligan and I were discussing about on our show. We've come across where it's got to the stage where I remember a time when it used to be the trophy used to be the sort of the thing at the end of the road, the pot of gold at the end of the road that you went for. But now it's all like, sort of it unlocks this competition or there's money into it and all these kind of things. So it does feel a little bit devalued, or sort of like the incentives have changed a little bit as well. But yeah, it will be it certainly will be helpful.
Yeah, well, that was underwhelming, Gary, that you guys don't even care about this thing. Because I think on the Betis side of this, I feel like this is a pretty big match for them, right? I mean, they also already qualified for Europa. So coming into this, there's not that sort of incentive other than whatever the prize money is, right, for whoever wins this thing. But either way, I think it's going to be a pretty fun one to watch. So let's just jump into the lines. Let's jump over there. We're going to add in Mr. Striker onto our screen. There he is.
Loving this.
You can take a look
at
the line here for the Conference League Final, which sees Real Betis as half a goal underdogs here. And the total is set at 2.5. George, we've seen in these finals across all the different things, it seems like they're all going under here. Dogs have really showed up in some of these. Tottenham won as an underdog. We saw Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup as an underdog. And then this past weekend, we took the underdogs in the German and French Cup finals, and both of them got destroyed by the favorites. So typical gambling for us. But what are your first thoughts on this matchup, looking at the lines here and what you think about it?
Yeah, and don't forget, we also, I took Sheffield United as a favorite to win that promotion playoff, and they lost in the 97th minute. So that was great. But yeah, look, a lot of the dogs have been lifting trophies. That has been an interesting theme of the season. And as is typical, they tend to go under, right? They tend to be cagey affairs. But I just wonder if this might be a little different because both teams have already qualified for Europe. It's not quite as dramatic that if they lose this, it's going to be a disaster, right? It's just kind of the cherry on top, right? Adding a little silverware to the season, something else to point at. So I wonder if it might be a little more open than we tend to see in finals. And we know, Chelsea can be a little more stout defensively, although quite inconsistent, especially away from home. And Betis can't keep anyone out. They cannot keep the back door closed. So I actually think we might be able to see more goals than we might typically expect in a final. What do you guys think about that?
You go ahead.
Is that to me, that question? That's an interesting perspective as well. I hadn't thought about it that way. What is interesting is, Chelsea have a real problem up front as well. I think they'll have Nicholas Jackson back. Actually, he'll be back for this one, right? Because he was suspended in the league, so he'll be available. So, but he's been absolutely horrific. His form has been terrible. So, I think you're going to have sort of two interesting sort of like neutral sort of positions, of which the fact that Betis can't defend for their life and Chelsea can't score, right? They get really lucky with their soft goals. So, I think that draw line of looking at 250, I think, is actually probably the most appealing from my perspective. That's where I throw my money down, is the draw on that plus 250.
Yeah, well, I remember last time you were on, Gary, you seem to be that type of the fan that sort of like hates his own team and is like very like negative about them all the time. So I'm sensing a little bit of that because look, Chelsea have been major favorites in this competition since they kicked off. They destroyed everybody. I don't even think any of the matches were close. I mean, if they were, it was already like a dead rubber because they had beaten a team the previous leg. So, they've just been steamrolling this thing. I think getting Nicholas Jackson back up front, I mean, look, he causes problems at least, right? He can stretch the defense and he can hold up the ball pretty well. Maybe his finishing isn't the best. But if you like the draw, if you think Chelsea can't do it in the 90 minutes, then I would look at Real Betis getting half a goal here on the spread, right? Because then you get two outcomes. You get maybe Betis nicks a win, or it goes to extra time. And either of those, you would end up cashing on at even money, plus 100. And of course, always a good time to say this. I say this almost every show. These are 90-minute bets. If you want to bet on the team to lift the trophy, that is a different price. Real Betis plus 175. Chelsea, big favorites here, minus 250 in order to lift the trophy. And Jordan, I'm kind of with you on the goals here. I mean, it feels like every single Betis game is a 2-1. We saw in their past 2 knockout stages across 4 legs for both of those ties, every single game was 2-1. So it just feels like that's the number. That's what these games go to. And I look at Betis, and while they are underdogs here, there's a lot of guys with Premier League experience, including Pablo Fornals, a guy who's already lifted this trophy, right? From West Ham. He's Conference League Final trophy holder, medal holder.
Indeed.
And of course, Antony is the big one that everybody wants to talk about. He came over from Manchester United and then immediately became incredible again. He's scoring goals in bunches. So I think there's a lot of guys who have experience. Gio Lo Celso was a Tottenham player for a time. So they've got some experience here as well. I think Chelsea's just getting a little too much, but I'm a little too scared to take them here. So maybe the goals is the best way to break it down.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned Chelsea have been kind of steamrolling their way through the competition. It's been kind of declared that they should be winning this regardless of who the competition is. But this is no Djurgården, okay? This is probably the best team they're going to have faced here. This is a team that have been in very good form domestically and in the cup as well. So this will be the true test. I think it's kind of fun that we got this. I think had Fiorentina gone through rather than Betis, I think it might have been a little easier for Chelsea. But I do think Betis matches up pretty well with them. You're mentioning some of the players. We always like to talk about our guy, Johnny Mustache, for Real Betis, the American Johnny Cardoso. Love to see him out on the pitch. And, of course, we have Isco, who is one I circled as maybe a potential for a bet on to score or assist at any time. I think you can get plus 170 on that right now. And he's a big game player. He's one of these Hollywood guys, shows up in these moments, obviously pedigreed, had some big moments for Real Madrid in finals, so why not here as well? But yeah, fascinating. I just want this to be a fun game, really. So I think I'm going to be kind of smitten by the goals here. And Dev, we've decided that we're probably going to go with a couple of different plays for this one, because why not? It's the end of the season. We're going to throw a few bets out here. I mentioned liking that Isco play, but I think officially I'm going to go with both teams to score. It's minus 125. Gary's talked about the draw being an option. I think we all can see these teams scoring against each other, right? We've talked about how Betis can't keep anyone out, but they have a great attack. So I think that's kind of the starting point for me here. Both teams to score, yes, coming in at minus 125. But I'm greedy. I got to tack something onto that to get a better price. So while I think there are goals, I'll tell you guys right now, I don't think there are 6 goals. So if I go both teams to score, yes, and under 5.5 goals, that gets me to minus 110. A little more comfortable with that price, and I really don't see 6 goals in 90 minutes in a final. So that's where I'm going. What do you think about that one? Either of you.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I'll look at some of the team streaks. Jordan, I like where you're headed with that. Look, both teams have scored in 10 straight Betis games across all competitions. So they're doing it, letting goals in at both ends. They've seen over 2.5 goals in 7 of the last 9 matches across all comps. The thing that's a little bit scary, and I want to ask Gary about this, is Chelsea defensively. We've seen under 2.5 goals 4 of their last 5 matches, again, across all comps. I'm looking at some of the score lines here. 1-0 against Forest this weekend, 1-0 against Man United before that, 2-0 loss to Newcastle, although they were red carded. In the final Djurgårdens match at Stamford Bridge, it was a 1-0. A lot of clean sheets for Chelsea, or at least they're getting blanked on the other end. So what's going on with that defense, Striker? Can you tell us? They seem really solid defensively back there.
It's interesting when you put it that way. You're like, actually, yeah, well, they have not conceded in quite a few, which has been surprising, and they haven't looked shaky at the back. There has been that tendency. I think anyone who has Robert Sanchez in goal is asking for problems. That guy could not catch a cold. He really is. He's not. I don't think he's last long. It's probably his last game. But yeah,
do you think
that
he
is an
starts?
interesting perspective.
Do you think
Yeah,
he
he'll
starts?
start.
Because
He'll
they've got
start.
another guy. Okay.
Yeah, they've got Jorgensen, I think his name as well. He's also equally as bad as well. So yeah, I really do sound like a pest. I've really hit the negative streak here as well.
Yeah.
I maybe I'm managing my own expectations after what's gone on in the last couple of years, but it's defensively. I think when you have Reece James back, he's always going to sort of give you that something extra, and he seems to be sort of the real leader as well. The other issue is Chelsea have always had like these inconsistently rotating centre backs and sort of with injuries and those kind of things. And now with Colwell and who was it? Who was the other defender that played alongside with him on the weekend as well?
Tosin.
Tosin, that's it. Yeah, they seem to have struck up a bit of a partnership and be quite consistent, which is good. And then Cucurella. So it is, I think it's also Maresca's system. The other thing I would just call out and just think about this, why I'm probably quite hesitant, is there's another backstory and narrative here in both of the managers. So the manager of Real Betis is Manuel Pellegrini. We probably know him when he was at Manchester City. Obviously won the Premier League with Manchester City, and then he went to West Ham. When he was at then at West Ham, and you remember that. Well, Jordan, as a West Ham fan as well, you'll know this, and I think I just shared an image with you. Enzo Maresca was Manuel Pellegrini's assistant when he was at West Ham. So there is this other sort of, so these guys know each other, and so there is an element and an angle here of the master and the student in a way, or the sort of the principal and the students. Yeah.
I'm glad you reminded me of that. I wouldn't have remembered that. It's good pull, deep pull there, striker.
So I do wonder if this is a case of if you're Pellegrini, you're this old experienced fox. You know how this young kid thinks. You know how his system. You've analyzed it. You've taught him, sort of shown him the ropes. Do you think that Pellegrini is able to just say, "Okay, I know where the chink in the armor is here, and we're going to exploit it as well"? So again, with a player like Antony who's on form, I think Chelsea will concede goals here. I think this will be. I hope it's not like that Man U Spurs Europa League final, which was just absolutely horrific. It was just so boring. It was terrible. But I do hope that there's an entertaining game and it is end to end as well. But I think you're going to see goals, and I do think Chelsea will concede here. So yeah, I do like that money line angle that you guys are looking at for sure.
Indeed, yeah. I think that the way I see it is we know Chelsea are going to score because Betis are so horrific defensively, and because Chelsea have quality, right? They have guys that can hurt you. But also, so that just tells me that if Betis have any chance of doing anything in this match, they have to score. So that's the baseline. Both teams to score, yes. And hard to see 6 goals in a final.
I just pulled up as well some of the money lines on the actual goal scorers themselves, and I was quite surprised to see these odds, which is ranging. You've got Cole Palmer, I'm seeing at plus 550, Jackson it's plus 650, but then the one that really jumps out at me, no goal plus 1100. that would be that might be worth throwing down. Yeah, the scoreless draw.
Yes, and also Mark Cucurella to get punched at any time. Could it happen?
Yeah, good odds on that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
These two, I think the midfield battle will be really interesting in this match, right? We talked about Fornals, you mentioned Cardoso. Isco, the sort of number 10 there for Betis, has been incredible form. I could see him getting an assist here. I think he's the most favored to do it. And then on the other side, Caicedo and Fernandez, I think have been great this season, right? In the sort of like double eights, sort of 6 and 8 roles there in the base of midfield. So that'll be really interesting to see who can sort of hold on to the ball a little more, who can control this match. But I think we are going to see a different final, and maybe I'm starting to repeat myself so we can get ready to move on here. But with these two teams already qualified for European positions next season, this isn't the biggest deal in the world. So let's have a go. Let's have some fun. I love the manager angle that you brought up, Gary. That makes me like the Betis getting the double chance here at even money to win or to draw in the first 90 minutes. I really like that bet. It's not where I'm going with mine. I'm going to go with our favorite guy, Mr. Antony. Mr. Antony. I'm just going to have him to take a shot on target. Okay, I think it's minus 137. Is that right, George? You made the card.
Yeah, and one shot on target. Yep. Just
one shot on target. We know he's got a green light all the time. So he's just going to cut in on that left foot and try to put one of those curlers into the top corner. And
he's never seen a shot he doesn't like.
Yeah, exactly. Another way you could play it is to just take him to have over 2.5 shots in the match. Doesn't have to be on target. It's right around his average per 90 this season. He's putting up 2.84 per 90 shots. So it's a little bit closer. But shots on target this season, he is 1.14 per 90. So I like that bet a lot. It's minus 137, not the best, but if he's already averaging it per game, it seems like a decently safe bet. And plus we know he's going to let fly. He wants to be the star. He wants to be the center of everything. You'd even take him to score a goal. I think that's like plus 330 or so. So a lot of different ways to look at it, but he's the guy I want to be targeting in this because I think he's a big game player.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
this is Anthony. Sorry to jump in there, Jordan. This is Anthony you're talking about, Devon. Is that right?
Yes, Anthony.
Anthony. Here's another interesting narrative as well, and maybe you can compound this. Could you do a parlay of the Manchester United players each scoring? So that's Jadon Sancho, who's still on loan,
That's
and then
right.
Anthony both scoring. So could you have that? Could you parlay that, and what odds could you get on both of those guys
Yeah.
scoring? That would be an
Well,
interesting one.
I think the way I'd go with that would be Jadon Sancho to score or assist, because he does get a lot of balls into the box, and then parlay that with Anthony shot on target or Anthony to score. I like these angles, guys. I like where we're looking. We've got 20 people live in the chat with us, so thank you for being here live with us. Drop a like on the video if you like Mr. Stryker and his pint of beer there. 24 now, so if even half of you dropped a like on this video, that would be massive for us. So appreciate that. Dev,
And they're coming from all over the world, Jordan. We've got a guy named All Penalties says, hello, guys. I'm watching from Kenya.
love it.
So look,
Thanks
if
for
he's
being
staying
here.
up in Kenya to check this game out, maybe it means more than we're giving it credit for.
Absolutely. Well, Dev, we love any game as long as we're making money on it. So this could be one of our favorite games of the season if all ends well. But look, it's one thing to talk about these matches, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm gonna tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
Well, George, let's bring Gary onto the screen here and throw up our official plays banner here. These are the officials that we're going to be giving out on the spreadsheet. Jordan has both teams to score parlayed with under 5.5 goals in the match at -110. And I've got Anthony just over a half a shot on target. Just one shot on target in the game, -137. It's not great odds, but I think he can do it. If you want to get crazy, we laid out a bunch of other plays for you guys that you could take on your own. As always, bet responsibly and be sure to shop around. You know, when you get into these finals, it's a little bit more of an obscure match. You can find a lot better prices depending on where you are, where you're placing your bets. So take a look around at all the different books that are available in your areas to find the best prices. But please like, subscribe, all those things. I get tired of saying it, but it's worth saying. So if you do enjoy our content, please drop us a review, like, subscribe. And before I move on here, Gary, thank you for joining us, giving us the Chelsea perspective, even though you're a negative fan. You guys made the Champions League. That's very exciting for next season. You have the potential to lift a European trophy here. So, you know, can't be that bad for you guys, right?
I read somewhere when I saw this, it was if Chelsea do win it, they will be the first club ever to have won every single European competition as well. Because that would be another factoid. Look at this, full of these useless factoids that don't make any money on the betting. Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of fun, though. You know, Real Madrid can't say it. That's finally something they can't be the first to do. Although maybe they will win the FIFA Club World Cup. Gary, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about the FIFA Club World Cup podcast that you're going to be doing for Hooligan Sports?
Yeah, for the 24 plus people sort of following, absolutely. So we are launching a dedicated podcast called the FIFA Club World Cup. It's called a Global Showdown, and the idea is it's a daily fan cast for the fans by the fans. So every morning we're going to do a recording and obviously do a look back of all the games that have happened. We're going to send some people around there. You guys obviously are being a part of that, so hopefully we'll get you into some of the games and then come back and say, hey, I was at the Rose Bowl last night. I saw I don't know, Mamelodi Sundowners play against sort of Real Madrid, and the atmosphere, and just to sort of get a bit of sort of insight into what the experience is, and then looking into the sort of games as well. So we'll obviously love to have you guys on that show as well when it kicks off. We're just recording the back sort of episodes, just breaking down the groups and breaking down the money of it. So again, yeah, like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things, and just search FIFA Club World Cup, a Global Showdown. And also as well, if it's okay, to also plug the Hooligan Soccer podcast and Hooligan-Soccer. Obviously, we're sort of now 5 months old and growing, and it's exciting times. And yeah, so obviously get to make sort of media friends like you guys, come on these shows and talk about the beautiful game, isn't it? It's a wonderful way to spend a bank holiday.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's 25 people watching live, Gary. The content exists in perpetuity after we're live, okay? There will be more.
Well, hello to the all penalties in Kenya. I hope you're drinking a Tusker and enjoying the Kenyan life. It's a beautiful country.
Yes, and it is always a good time to plug hooligan-soccer.com. Jordan and I have both contributed articles to the site if you're into reading about betting or even just the beautiful game itself. And I'm really looking forward to the Club World Cup because I just want to see how these other teams, I feel like the South American teams have the most to prove here, right? Like they're coming in, like Europe always is the top dogs. They're the ones everyone talks about, but River Plate and Boca Juniors and these teams have been doing it for a long time too. So I think that's going to be really fascinating to see.
It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to see. And again, I think there's 4 Brazilian teams entering as well, right? So these Brazilian teams are going to come for it, and they're going to sort of gonna really sort of go for it. It will be interesting to see. I think you're gonna see what I love about these like tournament football, particularly when you see like the World Cup or the Euros, is there's always a breakout star. There will be some young kid somewhere, probably from one of the South America or the Brazilian teams, that will get a big money move out of this all of a sudden, right? The last World Cup was Enzo Fernandez was that star player who won the youth player and got his big move to Chelsea, and they probably overpaid for him, but he got his move, and it will be interesting to see in this tournament as well. And again, also just there's going to be some of these big teams will stumble, and it will be quite funny. And I just hope it's not Chelsea.
Yeah, we actually not just Kenya, but we've got David from Uganda. We got some strong African representation in the chat here. Do we have any African teams in the FIFA Club World Cup?
Of course,
yes,
George.
there are 2. Yes, the Sundowners from South Africa. They're going to be playing as well, and then there is Tunis from Tunisia, of course, and then Al Ali as well. I think there's an Egyptian team as well.
That's right. In fact, I was doing a little research on this. That Al Ali team are the equivalent of the Champions League winners for Africa. I think 3 of the last 4 editions of it. So, and they opened the Club World Cup against Inter Miami on that first night, the standalone game.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one's going to be good because are they going to rig the tournament for Messi? Probably, but it should be fun.
Here's my thing. We were obviously, as I say, we were doing similar research and looking back at it. And the one thing that struck me is if you look at Inter Miami's form at the moment, they are huffing and puffing. And as we know, their strategy has been go and buy the big fading stars and obviously sort of go and sell shirts around them and get the media deals around them. I think this is tournament soccer. This is not a league, so you're not playing every week. You're going to be playing every 3 to 4 days, and each game is going to get more and more intense as it goes on as well. And so we know that the likes of Messi are being managed, right? Just to sort of manage because of their age, and obviously there's probably clauses, but then they play against Chicago and he didn't play him, and everyone wanted their money back. So we know they're managing him. I think Inter Miami are going to crash and burn out of this one. I don't think they get out of the groups, and it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, there will be some scalps, and it will be entertainment and wonderful.
Heck yeah. We'll definitely check out the FIFA Club World Cup, a Global Showdown podcast. Jordan and I will probably be making appearances on there as well.
Absolutely,
and we'll be breaking down betting angles over here. We'll be bringing on other guests, including Gary, to talk about Chelsea and how much he hates them. But thanks again for coming on, Gary. And any last words for the people from either of you guys?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered everything. This was a fun show. Again, appreciate everyone who did join us live. And we'll be back again with our final show of the regular season covering the Champions League final for this coming Saturday. So, yeah, then we'll have a little break, and then we'll be doing the Club World Cup. It just keeps on coming in the soccer world. So
it's endless.
Right
endless.
It is.
Well, until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.